All right. Well, today I want to welcome Julie Ellis. She is an executive coach, keynote speaker, and author, and co-founder of Mabel's Labels. So welcome, Julie.
Thanks, Paula. It's so great to be here.
So today we're going to talk about your side B behavior that you excel in, and that is kindness. And kindness is such an important part of being able to be that leader, that extraordinary leader that is open and reflective and helpful and collaborative with a lot of people. You know, I look at kindness as a behavior that of being generous and considerate. You know, would you consider yourself that way in a leadership role? And if so, why?
One of the things that people who've worked for me have told me is that I am the kind of boss that helps them grow a lot. And I think that goes with what you're asking, because I give people quite a bit of autonomy. I give them a lot of my trust, because I think, when people work for you, they want to do a good job. With very few exceptions, people want to do a good job. And if you give them the latitude and the ingredients to make good decisions, they will deliver for you and they will do the good job. They'll sometimes even do a great job or an amazing job. And so, once in a while, though, they're not going to make a good decision. So you need to build this sort of understanding that, how do you get from somebody who comes and says, what should I do, to somebody who comes and says, here were the decisions I made, and you say, great, to somebody who will come to you and say, here's a decision I made and I think it's going sideways. How can you help me? And so like that process of, okay, so you want me to make the decision for you. Well, how do we get to where next time you come to me and say, I think there's three options here. There's A, B, and C. What do you think? To, I think there's three options here, A, B, and C. I recommend B. To, I made the decision of B and this is how it went. And so like, how do you get people functioning in that? So build that high performing team and get them functioning so that they're thinking for themselves and making good decisions, and that they understand where to go for the decision, where to consult, where to, where are the company boundaries of what they have authority for. But I feel like it's so important to, let people think and let them bring you their arguments and let them then, take their wings and fly with that. And so I think that's kind of how I operate, when I'm in a team lead position.
I love that. That's almost like letting the rope out, right? And bringing them back when that is so important to a leader. And that's what I talk about with this side A and side B. It's so fun to kind of watch as you are able to bring that kindness in there with helpfulness and collaborative and open and reflective.
Yeah, really to work hard at building the trust bank account. When someone starts working for you, the trust bank account might be at 0. So how do you build it up to 100, right? Yeah. How do you let the person do things that earn trust and get up to where they're in a very trusted position? With the right checks and balances in place, of course. Like you think about somebody in a finance role, there always needs to be checks and balances in a finance department. But how do they get to that trusted status where, you're relying on them and you really give them the full autonomy to do their job?
I love that. That's fantastic. The harmonica, which is the kindness behavior, is one of my favorite, because it's really based on what top leaders do and understand that it's important to serve your people. Do you feel that if you, in coaching them and allowing them to be seen and heard, that you're going to get more retention, that you're going to get more of a balanced work from them and really focused work?
I do. And I think that it comes to that place of how you build that high performing team. And
Mhm.
to me, that is a retention. The ingredients have to be there, like pay has to be there, and your kind of environment in terms of how people want to work and those kinds of things. Those ingredients need to be there too. But if you can also build that high performing team that works with autonomy and is collaborative and creative, I think that's huge towards retention.
And I think that's so important because I see a lot of people, including myself when I was a first time manager, hovering over and wanting to say nitpick here and nitpick there. You kind of learn that as you're growing in your leadership role, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think you do. And I think sometimes you have to go away and ask yourself why you're nitpicking. And often it's because that bank account's at a low balance, or maybe it's even in overdraft, and you
Right.
figure out why you're having a trust problem.
I love that. I love the overdraft and the banking problem. So, as we talked about, being open reflective is an essential role, right?
Yeah.
It is along with helpful and collaborative. Why is being open and reflective so important to mentoring and coaching and that for your team?
Well, I think it comes down to, like, one of the things I tell people that I coach who are leaders is, you know, when it's performance review time, no one should ever hear something on their performance review you haven't already talked to them about. It's not the mechanism for feedback, right? And so that open environment comes with feedback, and the feedback has to be given both for the positive and amazing things people do, but also for the things where they mess up or it's a negative piece of feedback. But it's so important that you are able to pass that along and that you do it quickly, because otherwise people, may have an unrealistic view of how well they're doing in their job, or an unrealistic view of their prospects for a promotion or that sort of thing. And you really need to have those open conversations to let people know how they're doing.
I love that because I find that some leaders in one on ones only talk about the positive because they don't know how to talk about things that need to be corrected. But then you have other leaders that all they do is say this, 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 and they don't reflect on some of the positive things people are doing. So having that balance.
Yes, and you go away feeling a bit picked apart at the end of those meetings, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about balance. And there's also things, there's techniques to doing it, like you land positive feedback as well as negative in any meeting, those kinds of things. But I think it's about really having open and honest conversation and making the feedback about the facts, not about the person.
Mm-hmm.
So, when something goes wrong, you talk about the something that went wrong, not them and that, their capabilities, like, and
Right.
so piece of, like, how you find that kind of middle ground to, opening the doors to the conversation and keeping it really fact focused.
And I love that you're bringing this part into the kindness behavior because when I say kindness, a lot of people think, oh, motherly, nurturing, all of those things. And it's not. It is just knowing the difference of when you need to give positive versus hard feedback.
Yeah, and I think, you are being kind to people when you give them full and rounded feedback, both for improvement and for, amazingness that they bring, because that's how people learn and grow. And if we don't know we have done something that wasn't quite right, we don't understand why we're stuck where we are.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
good point. So you and I talked a little bit earlier about the type of leader that you are and how you kind of bring the glue together, or what did you call it?
The lubricant in a team. Yeah, I have this place that I sit with the team where I can kind of grease it and get it working and get things humming along. And I don't need to have subject matter expert. One of the departments that I led when I was at Mabel's Labels was our IT team. And we had about 10 people on that team. We had a custom built software that we had architected and built in-house, and we were maintaining and improving all the time, as well as our e-commerce website and many other things. And my Bachelor of Arts degree is in dance. I, left university and became a financial planner. And then I founded a business and led finance, IT, and retail, our retail product. So very eclectic, right? My path is not direct. But what I learned in leading IT is how to get that team working. And there definitely were bumps in the road with that. But hiring the right people, how do you bring people around you to help you with the technical mindset where I might be gapping on that? And so, finding some mentors for myself and that sort of thing really helped. But that getting the team working, figuring out how it could work better, and bringing some fun to us. I mean, we used to have our Friday barbecues and invite other departments in the company to come and join us. And then we might play a little card game after lunch, and just kind of like open some space for the team to spend time together and think in a non-work environment, right? And sometimes you come up with solutions to problems when you take thinking about the problem off the list and start going for a walk or getting outside or playing a card game or having fun with your coworkers.
Or, as I say, listen to some music, right?
Absolutely, listen to some music. It's that place where your mind goes somewhere else and suddenly you're like, oh, I think I have an idea for that problem I'm trying to solve.
Which brings me to my next question. What is your favorite song and to get you motivated and up every day?
So I have a eclectic and broad musical taste. It probably comes from my dance background and the different forms that I've done and that sort of thing. One of my favorite bands, though, is the band U2. Been a fan since middle school. Yeah. And one of my favorite songs of theirs is called A Beautiful Day.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Like uplifting. It's got a beat. It's uplifting. It has a good message. Don't let the day get away. And I think that is how I try to face every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly want to thank you. This was absolutely fabulous. You are an amazing woman, and your kindness shows everywhere. So thank you for participating.
Thank you, Paula.